Hey everyone, and welcome to Bite-Sized Tactics. In this video I wanted to look at the Toxicrene and its really long tendrils. Starting with the profile, it's got an 8-inch move, which is okay, not great for monsters, a toughness of 11, which is quite good, and a 3 plus base armor save, which is also pretty good as well. It's got 14 wounds, which is also really great, an 8 plus leadership, which is standard, OC4, which makes it better, and the unit costs 180 points. The only keyword that's important is that it has the monster keyword, which can be important for abilities, stratagems, and detachments. It has a few abilities. The first one is the Deadly Demise D3. It also has the Grasping Tendrils ability, which basically means anytime an enemy unit tries to fall back from being engagement range with the Toxicrene, you get to roll a d6, and on a 3 plus, that unit has to remain where it is and cannot fall back. It also has the Hypertoxic Miasma, which means after your movement phase, you roll a d6 for each enemy unit that is within 6 inches of the Toxicrene. On a 2 to 3, it's 1 mortal wound. On a 4 to 5, it's d3 mortal wounds. And on a 6, it's d6 mortal wounds. And obviously, a 1 means nothing happens. The Toxicrene only has one weapon, and that's its massive toxic lashes. However, it has a ranged and a melee profile. Starting with the ranged profile, it has anti-infantry 2 plus and has a range of only 9 inches, so it has to be up and close to even use this attack. However, it does do 2d6 attacks, which could be quite big, has a ballistic skill of 3 plus, strength 6 minus 1 AP, and 2 damage. So this could be quite useful in a lot of situations. Its melee profile also has anti-infantry 2 plus as well, so it has 12 attacks, hits on 3s as well, same strength, same AP, same damage. Basically, the only thing that's different between the two is that your attack's range on the ranged weapon, however, the melee is always 12, and this is really good for getting rid of infantry units. The weaknesses of the Toxicrene is that it doesn't have an invulnerable save, and it does have a 3 plus base armor save. Some monsters have a 2 plus, so it's kind of lacking in that armor save department just slightly. So it makes it more susceptible to those high AP weapons that can do multiple damage, and it does need to stay within Synapse range so that it can roll 3 dice on the battle shock tests. It is somewhat slower, only at 8-inch move for a monster, and really it's only great against infantry units, and it will struggle to really wound anything else with only a strength of 6. Also, you don't want to be stuck in a pointless combat. You want to be in effective combats, and we'll talk about that in strengths. Also, I have heard from some Tyranid players that the model itself, as you can see in the picture, is quite difficult to move around terrain and can be easy to move block because of the tendrils and how far they span out from the model. Now, looking at the strengths, it does have a high damage output against infantry, and it is still quite tough at toughness 11 and does have 14 wounds, so it can still keep going after being shot at a little bit. It is pretty cheap and can be well supported. It also can do early secondary objectives and still do secondaries even while in combat because it does have a ranged weapon. It also does get big guns never tire too. It's great at killing infantry units, and with its abilities, it could be useful to tie up enemy threats so that they can't fall back and escape. And this is where I say it needs to be in proficient and useful combat, because if there are combat threats that can attack your other stronger units that you need to use for either scoring or just for dealing with enemy threats, you could tie up those combat efficient units or even those ranged shooting units and stop them from falling back and being able to shoot. And this is really painful, especially for Space Marine players, as they could fall back and shoot and have a lot of abilities or detachment rules or stratagems that allow them to do so. For the mission play, this unit can be an infantry hunter, or it can be set up to harass and stall your opponent in combat, like we talked about with proficient combats and efficient combats, and really it's stopping your opponent from being able to do too much with those units. You could also just send this model straight into the center of the battlefield to hold the middle, score you points, especially if you're playing fixed, and you've chosen to deploy teleport homers, and just last as long as it can. Some helpful units for the Toxicrene is that the Psychophage will give it a 6 plus Feel No Pain. The Venomthropes will also give the unit the benefit of cover, but it won't gain the stealth ability because it is a monster. The Zoanthropes could give them a 6 plus Invulnerable save, which could be useful in some scenarios. And also it has some synergy with the Neurolictor and the Maliceptor with their own abilities, so that could be worth having a look at too. So, for my verdict, it is an interesting choice that you will probably never really see competitively because its base and its tendrils do get in the way and can be quite annoying to deal with. This could be fun to use at your local game store, however, or just your league with your friends for a bit of fun. It has got a little bit of play, but it is probably outmatched by other units in the codex, sadly. But again, if you feel like there's room in your army for the Toxicrene and you want to try it out, feel free to. Thank you for watching the video. Please press the like button if you like the video. Comment what you think of the Toxicrene, or if you use it currently, or if you've seen it being used effectively. Also, subscribe to the channel for more content.